Hello, all, and welcome to a new episode of the Horror Countdown podcast. I'm your host, Donna Nelly, and with me tonight is my good friend, Chuck W. Chapman.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Well, thank you for joining me here tonight. For tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing our favorite cars and horror films. So this was your topic. So what kind of led to the selection of the episode and the topic at hand?
Well, the selection was based on I have a new album out, a new 4-song EP. I do, as well as being an author and filmmaker, I'm also a musician. And the new CD is called Girls and Cars and Things That Matter. So I thought it'd be fun to tie the cars part into the horror movies because there's way too many girls to limit, our favorite 10 girls in horror movies. So.
Well, that's a pretty fun way of going about it. So it's definitely kind of a unique perspective, but definitely one that I'm glad we took because I kind of took the approach of I really wanted my list to do more with how impactful and important the car was in the film. I do have bonus points for look and style, of course, but yeah, this was kind of fun to revisit because there was a few that I kind of forgot how important the car was to the film. But
Oh yeah, the car has to be iconic. Whether
exactly.
it was so important to the film wasn't in my criteria, but the car itself needed to be iconic for some reason.
Yeah, that's kind of where I took it to. There's a few that, even though it's not necessarily impactful, I do have bonus points for the look, the style, the feel of it. What it does in the film is also kind of a big factor. But yeah, I kind of took the approach of, one, how important is it to the film, but also kind of, style and appearance is also, giving it bonus points sort of a, approach.
Cool. This should be fun.
Exactly, yeah. So, if there's anything else you want to get us started?
Sure. To start with, I had an honorable mention because it's not technically a horror film, but we can't do a list like this, I don't think, without mentioning the Mystery Machine from Scooby Doo.
Ah, yeah, that's kind of kind of an obvious one when you think about it. I mean, I can probably say the live action films from the early 2000s could count family friendly, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, those and
the
the old Scooby Doo Where Are Yous, where they actually solved the mysteries, and stuff, I thought were really, really cool.
yeah, that's where I was going. Is that yeah, it's probably much more important to the cartoon series because there's much more time spent with it. And then I think a couple of the later adaptations actually made episodes revolving around the truck itself. I think one of them, there was actually an episode where like the thing got possessed and they had to like stop it for some reason. I don't really remember, but yeah, I think for the cartoons it's a little bit more important than the films. But if you would have mentioned the films, I wouldn't have minded just because family friendly and stuff. But yeah, that's not a bad one. I have one myself for an honorable mention. Not necessarily because I think the film is really all that good, but it's Australian or New Zealand. I'm not necessarily sure, but it's a film called Mr. Wrong, and it's about a woman that purchases a car that turns out to have been possessed by a serial killer, and it just turns her life upside down, and she just starts going crazy and thinking the car's out to kill her and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily because like the car's all that important, just because it was something that she just bought for necessity to get around, and then all of a sudden it just turns out that it's possessed and all that kind of stuff. But it was one that I kind of enjoyed. I haven't seen it in a few years, so I'm not necessarily all that familiar with it, but looking up killer cars was one that I kind of saw meandering around on the outskirts, and it kind of just reminded me that I did enjoy it when I saw it. So wanted to throw it out there and mention it just for purposes of getting it out there. But yeah,
That works.
exactly. So do you have any preference for going first, or if you want me to take the lead?
Um, Sure, I'll go first if that's okay. And
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
just can comment and tell me if you've got the same thing on the list, a different place or whatever.
Uh,
Um, for number 10, not a car, but way too creepy and way too cool to leave off. And that is the 1941 Chevy delivery truck in Jeepers Creepers.
yeah, that's on my list as well. I have it a little higher on my list, just because I think it's not necessarily impactful on the story, but yeah, it was kind of one of those that had like the iconicness nature of it. And
Right. You see it, you don't forget it.
exactly, yeah. It even has kind of a cool little subplot about the discovery of the license plate, which
Mm-hmm.
I think that that adds like a really nice little mystery and a bit of suspense there once you figure out what's going on. But I kind of favor towards the sequels just because they make it just a little bit more. They kind of bring it out into focus a little bit more, especially the third one, just because there's a whole subplot in the very beginning about the police officers discovering it and trying to figure out how it works. But yeah, in terms of the iconic nature and the look of it, yeah, it's on my list for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. For my number 10, I kind of was keeping with that Australian kind of outbackness that I mentioned with Mr. Wrong. And I have a under the radar film from I think 2009 or 2010 called Roadkill.
Okay. I'm familiar
So,
with that one.
yeah, real quick for this one, it's about a group of teens who are, and then not teens, a group of friends who are out in the ways in the outback. They're just out on vacation, just goofing around, and discover that they're stranded in the elements. Their car won't start, and they're trying to hitchhike their way back to civilization, and come across this strange truck out in the middle of the wilderness that just keeps hunting them down. But the truck is driverless. They don't know there's nobody that they can see that's actually physically driving it. So it just becomes like this whole battle for survival and race to get out alive and all that kind of stuff. So I I enjoyed it when I first saw it. Again, it's another one that it's kind of been a while since I've seen it, but I always really liked the way that they approached the driverless angle of it. It was always one that I always kind of enjoyed and appreciated. It has some nice moments when they realize, it's driven by something other than oil, or which for those that have seen it kind of gives away what's going on. But it was a fun little film. I definitely, if you appreciate the indie side of things, it's not a bad one. But for my number 10, yeah, I went with this massive truck from Roadkill.
Okay. I tried to stick with more that I thought people would know a little better. So there were a couple like that that I looked at. And I'm like, I'm not sure how many people would know them. So, but it's cool
Uh,
to throw them in. Um,
yeah,
but I kind of didn't because of that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think it's great that you did. So I think that's really cool because it'll help people discover some stuff that they may not be familiar with.
yeah. For those that have listened to several of my past episodes will know that I'm not adverse to throwing bizarre off the wall kind of picks. So yeah, that's for those that have heard my previous episodes, that's something that I will do in the past, is that I don't just stick to the mainstream and the known. I will throw something that nobody's heard of just because I believe it deserves to be seen.
Hey, that's great.
If it was on equal playing fields, it would probably be up there for a lot more people. But just because it hasn't been discovered and very few know about it, there's no real it's not as prominent in the field, but I kind of just ignore that and I just go with my own personal preferences. So yeah, for those that have followed the show in the past, you'll know that that's something that I've done on several occasions, and this is par for the course. So
I like it. I like it.
yeah.
For my number 9, I had the 1978 Ford Pinto from Cujo. Um,
Hmm.
the car didn't have as much, but she spent a lot of time locked in the car while Cujo was trying to attack her. So I think that made it pretty iconic. Because to me, some of the scariest parts were when she was in the car there, and the dog slobber all over the window and stuff, and jumping up on the hood and everything. So I thought that belonged there.
Nice. Yeah. It's definitely my favorite part of the film as well. I didn't have it just because it wasn't, it's more like just a setting. But yeah, if I would have favored iconicness a little bit more instead of impact in the film, I probably would have put that on the list. That's not a bad choice. I like it. So my number nine, I went with a 1980 film called The Hearse. So this is about a woman that inherits this old Victorian mansion out in the countryside, after her mother dies, and comes to find out that one of the local, I guess, pitfalls of the establishment is this strange, mysterious black hearse that follows her around everywhere. Not necessarily the best of films. It's definitely on the slower side, but I've always found the car kind of creepy. Again, it's another one of those you never really know who's driving it kind of a thing. Just because you do get shots of the driver, but during the scenes in the film, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with it. And a lot of the best scenes come from this black car just out in the distance that you don't really know where it came from or what it's going to do next. And it's like I said, one that I kind of I tended to, like I said earlier, favor importance in the film more than style, even though, style points do help. So my number nine is The Hearse.
Very cool. My number eight, although most people would go with the truck in this film, I went with the car, is the red 71 Plymouth Valiant driven by Dennis Weaver in Duel.
Hmm. So I have that on the list, but for different reasons. And I think you mentioned it, so I'll save that for later. But yeah, that's on my list as well.
Okay. Yeah, because to me, again, the truck, you don't know really what's going on. You don't really see, but you do see a lot of the car and you see a lot of him inside the car and his emotion and what he's experiencing as he's trying to get away.
Yeah.
So that's why the car sort of stood out to me there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I have the other factor involved, but yeah, that's definitely on my list for good reason. So my number eight, again, this is going to be kind of an off the wall pick just because it's on the indier side of things. I went with a film called Super Hybrid. So this one came out a few years ago, or I first saw it a few years ago. I think it's probably at least 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. But I saw it a few years ago, and it was really kind of fun. It's about a group of mechanics at a car shop who get a couple of new pieces in for repair once a strange vehicular accident occurs just outside. And come to find out that one of the cars is this shape-shifting being that hunts them down and kills them one by one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one at all.
Yeah, it kind of, yeah, like I said, it kind of came out a few years ago. I think a lot of people kind of wrote it off because it's PG-13 and it's definitely on the indie side of things. But I had a lot of fun with it. There's a fun little it's kind of a cheat, but not really when you realize what the car actually is. The car is a shapeshifter, so it'll actually change forms and it'll mimic other cars in the lot to hunt them down. So every time it sustains damage, they try everything they try to stop it. The car breaks free and then it goes off into the side and it reforms and reshapes into a completely different body. So there's like 3 or 4 different cars that it looks like throughout the course of the film, and then you finally at the very end you realize what the actual thing is because it's not technically a true car. The shapeshifter thing it's kind of a clue, but I'll keep it a little vague just because. But this was one that I had a lot more fun with than I really should have, just because, like I said, it's on the Indier side. It's kind of a little cheaper kind of a vehicle, but it's a lot of fun if you're into that kind of thing. It moves really fast. They figure out that there's something wrong pretty early on, which is which is
Yeah.
really kind of nice. So it's not you spend half the film like, oh well, nothing's going on. There are people just lost. A bunch of idiots at work don't know what they're doing, and Yeah, they figure out that there's something wrong with the car very early on, and it just becomes like a relentless, series of battles just to try to stop it from getting out. But like I said, there's like several different cars that it morphs itself into and shapeshifts into. So it's not just one, but several, even though, like I said, there is a bit of a cheat there. Um, yeah, like I said, it's on the indie side of things, so it's not as well known, but I think it's a lot more fun than it should be. Like I said, the PG-13 rating is apparent at times. Don't mind that. Just give it a shot, and maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But like I said,
Yeah, sounds fun.
I had more fun with it than I should have. But so if you can find it, yeah, give it a shot.
Okay.
My number 8 is Super Hybrid.
Okay. My number 7 is the car's a little obscure actually in the films, but it's really cool because it's in all of them. And that is the 73 Oldsmobile Delta 88 in Evil Dead. Because the same car is in every one of the Evil Dead movies. I don't know if you've noticed that. Um,
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that that was Raimi's intention that
yeah,
yeah, because he said he puts that in everything.
he puts it in almost all his movies. In
Yeah.
fact, it was even Uncle Ben's car in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I haven't seen that since it came out. Maybe might have missed it.
So
Because
I mean, it's
yeah,
just
because yeah, I haven't seen that Spider-Man trilogy since they first came out. So I'm like I said, I haven't really revisited them since. So I might have missed it once, might have missed it then. But yeah, I remember hearing that I think he puts it in everything.
yeah, he does, and because of it being sitting outside the cabin in every Evil Dead movie, I think I had to include it.
Huh, nice, yeah, yeah. For my number 7, even though you're probably going to get a little bit more that think this is trucks more than cars, I went with Maximum Overdrive. One where, again, it's about, more than one vehicle. You got multiple cars. All of them are kind of, iconic, especially the giant gremlin big rig. But, there are scenes with several of the other small cars, chasing them through the impound lots or, trying to stop their escape attempts. So, even though, like I said, the big rig gets the most iconic stuff and the big moments, there are shots with other cars involved. And since the film is about cars and other appliances run amok, it kind of deserved to be on my list. So
Yeah, I kind of disqualified the Green Goblin truck just
yeah,
because,
yeah,
like I said, I fudged a little bit with some vans, but I tried to keep it to cars. So that's kind of why that one didn't make my list.
yeah. Like I said, I know that the Goblin's going to get the majority of the recognition for that one, but I did find a lot of the other cars did get moments trying to chase them down when they tried to escape or circle in the lots. So it is kind of a cheat, but it's one that I kind of had to put on the list. So yeah, I understand your reasoning for doing it, but yeah, I kind of put it on regardless.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah,
My number 6 was we can't, even though again it's not exactly a horror film, you can't do a list like this without Ecto One from Ghostbusters.
hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I never thought of putting that on the list. Like I said, I put more favored importance to the film, but over style. But yeah, for style attempts, I can definitely see that one there. I could probably even, you know, I can probably even say that's an honorable mention now that you mention it. So yeah, Mr. Wong and Ghostbusters is honorable mentions on my list. Because yeah, I completely forgot about the style points for that one. Yeah, that one that's a solid choice.
Yeah, I thought I had to put it on there because you can just say you can say the name. You don't even have to describe the car, and everyone can see it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good one. So my number 6, we kind of mentioned it already. It's the Jeeper Creeper van. I mean, what you said is kind of true. It is, immediately iconic and memorable. You do get, a little bit more in the, sequels rather than the original, but it does have enough of importance in the original to matter. So yeah, kind of, you mentioned it already. So doubling up here for me with Jeepers Creepers. So guess moving on to your number 5.
My number 5 was the 72 Ford Club Wagon van in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I never thought of that one. That was another one that I probably could have gone if I would have, favored style over importance.
Yeah, because some of the great, I thought that just the scenes where they pick up the hitchhiker, you know,
Yeah.
is just such an iconic scene. And then when they pull away and he leaves the blood-stained hand down the side,
Yeah.
it just that makes that very memorable for me.
Nice. Yeah. Wish I could have thought of that. Because it would have kind of fit in a little bit more with my number 5 choice, because this one is one that I have style over importance. I have Reggie's Barracuda from Phantasm. So, like I said, I know that this one gets a little bit more love in the sequels, but you first see the car in the original, and it is involved in a couple of big sequences. So, definitely one that I thought had to be mentioned.
It
Like I,
is it is up on my list a lot higher.
I kind of figured if you were going for style over importance, whereas I went importance over style, like I can see you putting that one a little higher. So I'll let you take over when you see that one. But yeah, my number 5 is Phantasm, just because that car needs to be on a list.
Oh yeah, has to be.
So
Okay,
yeah, for
my number 4 was the black Chevy Nova from Death Proof that Kurt Russell drives with the crossbones on the hood.
so my number 4 is the car from Death Proof.
All right, we finally matched up on one.
We matched up, yeah. Ah, nice. I mean, yeah, it's another one that its importance is kind of established pretty early on, but that thing just looks so cool.
It is. It's just so cool.
Yeah. So that kind of a odd placement there. We both have it in the same spot. So I'll actually move on. I'll take the number 3 for my list. I went with the black being in the car. Um, this one was one that I always kind of enjoyed. I always thought it was a little underrated. It should probably be a little bit higher for most genre fans. But that thing is just an absolute blast. The way that it just is impervious to anything. You see that humongous trail of dust just following it everywhere, and then just that blaring horn honking out from the distance. Yeah, that thing is just a sight to behold, and I loved every second it was on screen. So this one was one that it earned both importance and style points. So for my number 3, I had the car.
Very cool. I thought about that, but again, it was so obscure that I was afraid people wouldn't know it. So, but it's good that you're doing this because I think that's really cool that they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it's definitely one
Amazing.
that, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one that definitely deserves to be seen a little bit more. So, yeah, definitely did, definitely had to mention it. So, I think it's your number 3.
My number 3 is the stolen asylum Ford station wagon from Halloween.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah. Another one that I probably could have done for style over importance. Because, yeah, that's the one
Yeah,
that,
it's not there long, but
yeah,
it's really your first time that you're seeing Michael Myers, your first glimpse.
right. Yeah.
So,
Just, yeah, the shots of him with that mask just driving by in the city streets. Yeah.
yep.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that to me, that's what put it so high is I think the level of importance there,
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah.
and it does stand out. Definitely stands
Oh,
out.
yeah. Yeah.
Not going to win many cool points, but it does stand
Right.
out. It's important.
Yeah. All right. So my number 2, we mentioned it, was Duel. I mean, yeah, the red station wagon definitely deserves its share, but that truck is really just a blast. I love the way it looks. The scenes of it just plowing through the countryside, just this unstoppable menace. Whenever you see it, that thing just looks terrifying, and you never really it's not driverless. You know that there's a driver there, but you never see who it is, and just the way it toys with them and the way it plays with them. Yeah, it was an absolute blast. And I know that you had the car over the truck, but it's still one of those that its placement had to be on here. So moving on. Yeah.
My number two was the Barracuda from Phantasm. So we've already pretty much discovered that. We've already covered that. Just one of the coolest cars ever, period, but definitely one of the coolest cars in a horror film. And definitely played a pretty big role in both the first and second one. So.
Right, yeah, because I know that there it does more in the it's more of a feature in the second one, just because that's the one where they travel around the countryside. So you kind of need a reason to, you kind of need a method to get around. So you get to see it more often. So yeah, definitely one that stands out for numerous reasons. So brings us to number one. Kind of going to venture that this may be yours, but at least on my end, I went with Christine.
You have to go with Christine for number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The car is the film.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's the only one that actually is named after the car. I mean, the other cars, they get brought up. They're an important part in the film, but the film is named for the car, and this is the only one that actually has a name. So when that thing just rolls off of when you just see that thing rolling down the countryside, and you see it on
when he pulls out and you hear "Bad to the Bone" start.
Yeah, you're getting something important and iconic. And I mean, you see the shot of it, beat up and rolling into the junkyard, and just belching flames, and then all of a sudden you see him at the football game, and the thing's just, it looked like it just rolled off the assembly line, and it just looks absolutely impressive. And what it does afterwards, yeah, it's definitely one of the most important physical objects I've ever seen. Not just a car, but just physical objects in a horror film. It's an absolute classic. So I mean, we kind of tied on some of these things, but yeah, this one was an obvious number one. So it was kind of Christine, and then everything else kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the one. Okay, that's number one. Let's see, how do we number everything else?
Right, yeah. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this. We kind of mentioned a few together, but yeah, kind of fun to see some oddball choices that we both had on each other's list, because you went more for style points, and I went more for importance. So nice little variety we got there.
It was cool.
Yeah, it's fun to hear. So at this point, do you have any place anybody can check you and your workout for those that want to follow you?
Yeah, Chuck W. Chapman on pretty much all social media. That's also my website, chuckwchapman.com. So just hit me at Chuck W. Chapman on anything. I have a new book out called Freak on a Moped. It won the critters.org best indie horror novel for 2021. So check that out. It's available from me, of course, but also on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com and all the online places. And my new CD, Girls and Cars and Things That Matter, same thing, available on Amazon and Spotify and all the streaming platforms. And that's what I've got going on right now.
Nice. Well, I'll definitely have everything linked below for you to check out if you're interested. So thank you again. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Don.
Yeah, well, until next time, we will see you with a new episode. Later. And